Really, the basic premise behind Feeding San Diego is that we needed to have an organization whose primary job was feeding people. The previous organization was really just a committee. So with the help of Gary McDonald, Larry Sly, and Frank Keir in 2007, we were able to start Feeding San Diego. So we did our very first distribution in the rescue mission parking lot. We had 2 employees, no warehouse. It wasn't a huge distribution, but it was a huge success to get started. And subsequently, the fires broke out a few weeks later.
At this point, Del Dio's highway is closed. Don't head east, you want to go west.
Because of our connection with Feeding America National, which was Second Harvest, we actually accessed over 500,000 pounds of food that then were distributed out of a parking lot at the Jack Murphy Stadium. It was a real success that we were able to do that, meet people's needs on a dime. It felt as though we had so much more that we wanted to do. You know, you start down that process and it's just not enough.
We are receiving trucks every single day, up to 4 or 5 trucks in one day of fresh produce, of non-perishables, to continue replenishing what we're distributing out.
Understanding the hunger problem is a very difficult thing. People show up to work, but it doesn't mean that they don't have an issue at home.
I thought I was okay. I had a degree, I had work experience. Surely I should be able to provide for my kids. But they're just things that you don't plan on in life. And when you have to meet them, sometimes you just, don't have the resources to do so.
I think there's some communities where you feel you've solved the hunger problem according to the numbers, and then you look outside the door and you haven't. People are still hungry. So I think the only way to do it is by being a part of our community, to have our boots on the ground, ears on the ground, and really just be there to try and help our neighbors as much as we can.
We have many kids that are coming to school hungry, and when they're hungry, their mind is not on math, language arts, literacy. Their mind is on food.
Over 100,000 of our students would not have access to school meals or any meals possibly. If Feeding San Diego hadn't come through to help us, it would really, really be difficult for families to be able to buy groceries.
We're able to use the money for other things that we need, like clothes for the kids, school supplies for the at-home learning.
When I have lunch here with my son, you would see some of the students often would give their fruit to another student because they knew that they didn't have food at home. And so I already seen kids helping kids just because they had an apple that they weren't going to eat, so they pass it on, which that's just a much smaller scale than what we're doing here already.
We're taking bags of produce out to a lot of the rural areas, way out to Kamba Hot Springs. Places that have basically no grocery stores anywhere near them.
Our closest grocery store is 30 minutes away. It's amazing that we can ensure that we get the people fed that need to be fed. Because without you guys, this isn't possible.
The mantra of Feeding San Diego is, we don't have a food problem, we have a food distribution problem.
The reason I was so taken by the Feeding America model is because it was based on rescuing, it was based on sharing. So additionally, we do rescue food from all over the county.
We're working around the clock with different farms and stores to capture that food before it hits the landfill and direct it to people in need instead.
The food that comes in is too big, too small. It's not absolutely a perfect apple that someone would want to pick up in the produce section, but it's perfectly good to eat.
Go through all of those products and salvage, 70 to 80% of it. It's a great feeling to know that I'm not throwing any of that out and that it's going to be going to somebody who needs it, who wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise.
Our organization partners with local military organizations at 17 sites across the county that serve military and veteran communities to ensure that they have food assistance if needed.
The more that we help those in need to help, the better off we are as a country. We're showing us a strength that not all countries have.
I mean, this is what we're all about. It's neighbors helping neighbors, and it's realizing that human beings are kind and want to help one another.
The pandemic has really doubled down on the need for food all across the country, and for sure here in San Diego.
The nation's food crisis getting more acute by the day. Feeding San Diego fed well over 100,000 people last week alone.
Today we are giving them about 50 pounds worth of food, and that includes 25 pounds of dry and canned product, 15 pounds of fresh produce, and 10 pounds of frozen chicken.
Everyone is so thankful. One little grandma leaned out her car window and took a picture on her iPhone of us.
You have to have the right people. It's about people, people, people all day long. Because really, we started with an idea, a few people getting together, a parking lot, a crisis, and we kept putting a foot in front of the other. We can do it. I'm very proud of this organization and just extremely grateful for having been able to work with so many wonderful people.
You are angels for our Bayside community. You are making sure that someone's looking after them in the home, making sure they have food.
What I'd like to say to everyone who supports the Feeding San Diego program, makes a huge difference in our lives. It may seem like something small to them, but it has huge impact.
What is the future for this organization? It is hard to say. My hope is that we go out of business, that we can provide food for everyone who's hungry and show them that they matter.